Hello everyone, and welcome to our second video on machine learning. Today we'll be looking at the purpose of machine learning and answering the big question, why? Why do I need machine learning, and why is it better than the traditional methods? So just a quick reminder on the definition of machine learning. Machine learning is programming a computer to learn from data without explicitly programming it to do so. So, as a comparison, today we'll be looking at traditional programming, so what existed before machine learning, and machine learning. And we'll be using the earliest example of machine learning to teach us this, and that is the email spam filter. So traditionally, how would we program a spam filter? We would ask ourselves, what words or phrases are in spam email? We would add those words to our list. So we would have a list here, and we would put in words like amazing, or free money, or whatever words that spammers use. Then we would run the list through an inbox of known spam emails. So we have an inbox of emails, and each of those, this list is run through. And it checks out every email and categorizes them as spam or not spam, depending on whether these words appeared in the email. But then let's say that a particular email was not flagged by the program and we know that it's spam. Well, what you as the programmer would have to do is put that new word in the list by yourself. You would open up the program, go to where the list is, and add a word. Let's say the new word was credit card. You would add credit card to the list because that's what was in this email. And then once again, you would run the program, you would do step 3 again, and see if there's any other emails it misses. Obviously, the email that had the credit card last time would be flagged this time. And you would repeat this section until the program is accurate enough. So in other words, that the list is complete and that your spam filter is catching enough emails to make it useful. But obviously there's a couple of problems with this. First of all, for obvious reasons, we can't keep teaching it. We just cannot keep opening up the program and adding new words to it. Why? Well, first of all, it's inefficient. Someone has to do this as part of their job, and manually putting in a word every day, or many hundreds of words every day, depending on how quickly scammers work, is something that could distract you from important other things. Second, it's also time consuming. So again, time might be better spent somewhere else. And finally, and most importantly, it's impossible. It's impossible to have a complete list. Spammers are always working to evade these systems. Let's say, for example, that we had credit card in our list, but then scammers realize that credit cards with an S is not picked up. Well, then all emails which use credit cards, our original spam filter would fail at. And then we would have to go through those emails, and we'd probably miss this S. We'd have to go through those emails, eventually find the S, add it to the list, and run the program again. And every day the spammers would get back at us, and it would be a very difficult job to keep this program updated. So what's the solution? Well, we use a machine learning spam filter. Step 1 would be give the program a basic list of spam words or phrases. This step is optional, actually, but I put it in because just to show you that you can give it. Let's say you and your friends sit together and you come up with a basic list. Again, we say amazing, we say credit card, your friend says free money, and so on. So you would give the program this list. The machine learning program would then use this list against a training set of known spam emails. So just a quick reminder, training set is the information, so the data that is fed to the machine learning program. It's just a fancy term for, useful data. So you would give it a training set of known spam emails, as we did with the traditional programming as well. Here are the subject lines. These are all different emails, individual emails. And one by one, the machine learning program would go through each of these. So it would take this list and go through each of these emails and flag them as spam or not spam. But let's say it misses these last two emails. Okay, it would say, for example, what are the common words in the missed email? Let's say it found that the common word in both of these emails was amazing deal, because it came up in both. That's another common word. Well, what it would do itself is add amazing deal to this original list, and it would update it itself. And this process can be automated. And finally, and most importantly, for whoever's job it probably was to traditionally program the software, it would do this forever. It would keep going through emails, keep going through different emails until it finds a common word that was in multiple emails, and it would add that to the list and then continue all over again. It would keep updating its list and get better over time. So just to end the video, the basic rule of thumb that I'm going to give you is that anything that a human can do subconsciously, so that is without actively or consciously thinking about it, any task that can be done that way, a machine learning program can do too. But I'll put this in red just so you are aware. This is not an official AI rule, as far as I'm aware. However, there are all the tasks that machine learning can do can be boiled down to two fundamental abilities. The first is to fine-tune lists. And this was what we saw with our spam filter. It goes through whatever the training set is, it finds what's missing in the list, and it keeps updating the list over time, and it keeps getting better. The second task that machine learning can do, fundamentally at least, is it looks at large amounts of data and it finds trends. So, for example, you have your Instagram feed. Large amount of data could be from your Instagram feed. You might spend a longer period of time on, let's say, coffee-related posts, and Instagram notes that and puts it in its database. And over time, it creates a table of topics that you're interested in. So let's say coffee, you spent 20 hours this year on. You spent 20 hours this year on Instagram posts on coffee, and MMA, you spent 10 hours. Well, it's going to draw a graph of all the data that it's got. Well, it's not going to draw a graph actively, but it's going to deal with the data, find a trend, and then show you more of your coffee videos. This process of looking at large amounts of data is called data mining. So data mining is looking at lots of data, finding trends. That is a technical term that is often used in news or literature. Data mining.